Hi everyone and welcome to this new video. This video is going to be a little bit different than usual because in this video I want to talk about Piracy Shield. Now, what is exactly Piracy Shield? It is a platform that was developed in Italy to stop streaming piracy. So that is the main idea, the main goal of the platform. However, the way it is used, the way it is implemented is very dangerous and it has already created some damage, and potentially in the future it could create even more damage. At the time that I'm recording this video, the platform is still being used, so nothing has changed. And in this video, essentially, I want to talk about what was the initial law that gave rise to this platform, what is this platform, how it works very generally, and finally, I want to talk about the problems of the platform in the way that it is used and in the way that it was designed. And at the end, I'll leave some reference. As always, if you find the video enjoyable or interesting, leave some feedback, subscribe to the channel and share this video and this channel with like-minded people to help me grow. Thank you very much. So let's talk about the initial law. Because one of the most dangerous things about this platform it's actually based on a law that was approved by the parliament. So this happened in July 14, 2023. A new law is published in the Gazzetta Ufficiale, which is the place where new laws are published by the parliament. And this is the way it's called. Essentially, it's a very verbose, law way of saying stuff that is very hard to understand. Now, essentially, what the law is supposed to do, it was designed to do, was to protect the holders of copyrights from pirated content. And specifically, the focus was on content that was streamed. So on streaming content that is pirated. And specifically, it was for football games. Here, the idea is pretty basic. The people, the companies that made money out of streaming football matches did not want other people to stream those matches because otherwise they would lose clients, they would lose money. And so they made this law. And this is actually one of the first dangerous things to note, that this law was very much pushed by specific companies for their own interest, regardless of how it was designed and implemented. And so on the 14th of July 2023, this law is published. Now, the law is made up of 7 articles, and essentially the basic idea is that this article gives new power to AGCOM, which is the National Regulatory Agency for the Communication Industries in Italy. So AGCOM is like a thing that deals with communication and with communication industries. And it gave new power to it, because now, specifically, what kind of power does this law give to AGCOM? Well, it gives the power to block any IP address and any full qualified domain name if such IP or FQDN is hosting illegal streaming content. And of course, since we are talking about streaming content and typically football matches can last between 1 hour and 2 hours, the idea is that this block has to happen within a 30-minute time span. So very fast block. Now, what is then Piracy Shield? Well, to actually implement this law, to make a system that could implement the law, a web platform was developed to automate the creation of tickets. Essentially, the idea is that you have this ticket, and this ticket tell you, okay, this IP is hosting pirated streaming content. Okay, let's block it in under 30 minutes. And this is the platform that is called Piracy Shield. It is a web platform that allows providers of internet services to register and listen for incoming tickets. Actually, it's not that it allows, that essentially this kind of internet providers, the companies that give you access to the internet, they are forced by law to register to this web platform, and they are also forced by law to process incoming tickets, so that if they receive a ticket from the Piracy Shield platform, then they must act on that ticket within a 30-minute span to block that IP address, to make sure that no one within their reach, their ISP network, can reach that IP address. And those who hold copyrights can also register and issue tickets to the providers. So the architecture essentially is as follows. We have Piracy Shield in the middle, we have the copyright holders who can create new tickets, and then we have internet service providers who give access to the internet, DNS providers who do the DNS resolution, VPN providers, any sort of service that is connected to the internet in one way or another has to register to Piracy Shield listens from incoming ticket, and if a ticket has, for example, the IP address, I don't know, 10.543, they have to block that IP address within their network, they have to stop the DNS resolution, they have to stop connectivity through the VPN, and things of the sort. And so, every time a new ticket is added to the platform, the providers must read, process, and block access to the according IP address or full qualified domain names contained within a ticket in a 30 minutes time span. So, of course, what are the problems with this approach? Now, there are two types of problems. One is design problem and one is implementation problem. I mean, one class is design, another class is implementation. Now, with respect to the design of the platform, these platforms makes no sense whatsoever. And this is really like very, very bad thing that happened to Italy. Because the idea is that they think that by blocking the IP address, you are actually harming those who stream pirated content. While, of course, those who stream pirated content can change the IP address, can use an IP rotation using different cloud services. And so from a design point of view, this thing can never work. It can only create harm to the infrastructure of the internet in Italy. Because the idea is that this is born out of the ignorance of Italian parliament that thinks that IP address is mapped to a specific service, and if you block the IP address, then you're blocking the service. But maybe this thing was true 20 years ago, but now with the cloud, this is no longer true. IP address are really not that hard to change and to rotate. But of course, the Italian parliament is really behind in terms of technology, and they don't really understand this. Also, it was pushed by greedy corporations, but the point is that those corporations need to understand that if they want to make more money, they cannot act like this because it's just not gonna work. And indeed, it's not like since they implemented this system, their income got up because more people brought the official subscription. It actually did not happen. They are trying to force a solution on the users, but actually they should think of improving their service, create a better service, and then people will naturally just pay up, those who want a good service anyways. So instead of being competitive, they are trying to force essentially the market on them to block everything else. And besides, they are not even able to block the pirate anyway with this approach, because it's really simplistic, it's too simplistic approach. It's kind of a shame that they come up with such simplistic solution. Now there are other problems also in the way it is being used, because it offers no transparency whatsoever. It means that we don't really know who is creating the ticket, and there is no unblock procedure, or initially there was not, but I believe even now there isn't. So if you are blocked, then it takes a lot of time to unblock. And also, even more dangerously, there is a very weakly implemented whitelist of domains that should not be blocked. Indeed, from their official website, you can just see a list of IPs numbers blocked throughout the year. Now I believe they are implemented a system where you can put the IP and they will tell you if it's been blocked or not, but I did not test it too much. Initially, this was what they gave you, very embarrassing, honestly. And after a few months also, the main code of the platform was leaked. It was written in Python. This is the GitHub and it's still up. And the official institution Agicom said to the news that the code had nothing to do with the platform. So they completely denied that this was the code. And by analyzing the code, various researchers and people understood that essentially the platform worked without any sort of proof. It means that who created the ticket did not have to prove that the IP address or the domain name was actually hosting illegal content, pirated content. There was no proof whatsoever. The system was set up to make sure that once the ticket had that IP and that domain name, then the IS providers were forced to block it regardless of proof. Now, if you think about what this means, it's that it's a very powerful system. You give it an IP address and that IP address gets blocked throughout all Italy. These kinds of systems are so powerful that they can represent a very critical point of failure. If a malicious actor were to get hold of the platform, he would be able essentially to destroy Italy infrastructure of the internet. So extremely dangerous stuff. Now, less than 1 month after the platform started to be used, so this is around February of last year, February, March, tens of thousands of IPs from Cloudflare were blocked. Now, the idea is that, let's say that I have an IP that is hosting pirated content, and it is from Cloudflare. Of course, it's not Cloudflare who's hosting the pirated content, it's the consumer of the Cloudflare IP. Now, if you block that IP, however, the pirate will go to another IP, while that IP is still blocked. So the person who gets it after still get an IP blocked, essentially. Now, funnily enough, in August 2024, the platform blocked the IP addresses which host the blog pages of Tim and Tiscali. So this is like a meta block, because when you are blocked, the provider offers a blog page, and this blog page depends on the provider. So Tim had this blog page and Tiscali had this blog page. But then the platform blocked even those pages. So essentially, you could not even see that it was blocked, because the blog page itself was blocked. It's just really like stupid. But the most funny thing that happened is that in the 19 October 2024, the domain drive.usercontent.google.com was blocked, which resulted in the entire Google Drive service not being usable for the entire nation of Italy. Like, this thing actually happened. A lot of people who were using the service couldn't anymore. Why? Because of this platform. It happened one day, but essentially it can happen again because the platform is still in use. Probably by now, I hope they improved a little bit their whitelist, because apparently in their whitelist there was not even google.com, funnily enough. And yeah, I have to say that this was a very shameful moment, because this kind of thing should not really happen, but it did happen, and I just wanted to tell you. Now, even after all of this and many other blocks which shouldn't have happened, the platform is still online and working, waiting to cause more damage, of course. Actually, it got even worse, because 1 year afterwards, like we're talking here about September 2024, the platform was made more powerful. They removed some limits in the number of IPs that could be blocked by the platform. And the funniest thing that they tried to do, and of course they failed at that, is that they tried to force VPN and DNS providers to sign with the Piracy Shield platform and to block traffic to protect the copyright holders. So this is this thing is just ridiculous, because this Italian platform, which happened because of an Italian law, wanted to force everyone in the world to register to their database, to their platform, to obtain the tickets from the copyright holders and to ban the IP also in their network. And the funny thing is that if all these kind of providers actually sign up with them, they probably would not even be able to handle the traffic. Like, seriously, this is just so funny, it's actually sad. So here I list some reference, but of course they are mostly in Italian, so really not much to say here. This was, as I said, a different video. I hope it was somewhat interesting. This thing, of course, happened in many different countries, not only in Italy. What I found amusing about the Italy attempt is that it is so bad that it's just so dangerous. Like in this case, bad design. What is the result of bad design? Well, in this case, it opens up a point of failure in the infrastructure of Italy, where if a malicious actor gets hold of the platform and starts to ban critical IP for the infrastructure of Italy, well, things could get messy. Did this happen? Not yet, but as long as the platform continues to live, this is actually a threat to Italy internet infrastructure. And honestly, I cannot believe that this is still going on. Some members of the parliament woke up and started to do something about it, but it was of course too little too late, and still nothing has changed. So we will see if something bad happened, maybe because of Piracy Shield, maybe they will change it, maybe not. If you read on the news that something bad happened with the Italy internet, this could be thanks to Piracy Shield. And now hopefully you know the story behind it. So this is it for this video. It was a little bit different. Then in the next video we will continue with more technical stuff, and see you to the next video.